Doesn't Final Fantasy 13, don't like some of the bosses take like 4 hours?
Yes, because the balance in that game is completely
Or like they thought it would be fun to like just keep pressing the same
speaking
attacks
of
over and
Final
over.
Fantasy 13, there's a song in that game. You know that song that plays when Silver first attacks Sonic? It's like
No.
Like there's a song in Final Fantasy 13 that sounds exactly like that when you fight the Pride-clad boss.
The moose now, the elk has wings now.
Now it
Let's
looks
call
like
this the
something from
Bioelk.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
A angel
Michael,
elk.
have you watched that show yet? Yeah,
No.
Angel Elk. Oh,
Angel
you need to
Elk,
watch
is that what you just said?
Evangelion. Angel, yeah.
Um,
Well, and in
Yes,
Neon
we
Genesis
get it, Amy.
Evangelion,
The giant red glowing thing is its weakness. No fucking
Oh.
shit.
that gigantic
I
red
wonder
orb
what
in the
part of the
center.
boss I'm supposed to hit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shadow
Mr.
does more
Mc-
damage on this part if you want to switch to Mikey.
Mr. Red Orb McWeak to arrows.
And the thing about this is, once you know what to do, he's really easy.
What is this? A Legend of Zelda boss?
It does look like the shield.
No, because the weak point is super obvious.
Oh. Well, in Legend of Zelda, it would be an eyeball.
Oh, they're doing the song. I just realized
Yeah.
that.
Alonso,
Or it's
this
his
is
bu-
literally
or
not
if you're-
damaging him.
Alonso, this is literally not damaging him.
Or if you're inside Jabu's belly, then it's the slug's butthole is his weak point.
You gotta charge it all the way, Mikey.
I did!
Eh,
See,
clearly
it
you
hit the
weren't.
shield and bounced off.
It did damage right there.
You're a liar.
It literally did damage right now. And it did it again.
Well,
So
then why
yeah,
did it not
yeah.
do damage the other time?
Alonso, you're a liar.
As it does, as the health bar goes down, like, okay, that's a Mikey wrong.
What a personal attack there. You're a liar. I wasn't expecting that. You're a liar. He's trying to help you. You're a liar.
You know what? The biggest failure of this boss is 100% ASF. Because you can't tell what you're doing at any time because everything's completely unclear. The game doesn't tell you that you can charge Silver and Sonic's moves. It doesn't tell you why it sometimes attacks will bounce off and sometimes they won't.
How did Amy tell you that red orb is his weakness? Is she standing on a platform behind you?
Telecommunication.
Or are you all like one in the universe together?
That literally
collectively?
didn't hurt him. I bounced off. And there's
You
no
just can't let
reason.
go.
Oh my god. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Wouldn't it be
Fuck
funny
you.
if Mikey, like, died right now?
Don't tempt fate.
Michael
I
as
swear
a
to
person.
Christ. Why is it not doing anything? I
Well, then
hit
we
him
can't
right in the
upload
fucking
last
red
episodes
part.
of Game Mavericks.
Get the
then.
Oh, yeah.
fuck out of my fucking face with this goddamn shit. So it worked that time, but it didn't work the 10 previous times where I did literally the same fucking thing? Oh my god.
Aw, that's the game.
This is the worst fucking thing I've ever played in my life.
Michael,
Was it a game?
edited a fart of Supersonic.
Where?
he's hovering.
I like how that made you laugh again. It's literally the same joke as last time. Why does that... You're kidding me! That was an S?
That was an S? Wow, good job, Mikey.
That was an S?
This boss is so fucked up that even a performance like that deserves an S.
It took you like 34 minutes to beat that.
To be fair, that is more generous than the fucking Dark Gaia boss.
That was 25 minutes. That was 25
horrible.
minutes.
I can't
Oh
believe
my
Clement
God.
called that like one of the good parts of the game. He's fucking nuts.
So,
Jesus.
is this the secret ending where Elise shows all the boys her?
No,
Sir.
that never happens.
What did you say, Alonzo?
Sir.
This, sir.
Sir. Please.
Sir,
I like how-
please.
I like how Eggman's just like, I did a good job just then.
I didn't really do much of anything except look in my eyepiece.
What?
Yeah, there was a part where apparently his glasses are like Google Glass, and he uses it to locate the Chaos Emeralds.
Oh, it's like a scouter.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Supersonic is very reminiscent
I have bad news, Sonic. Solaris's power exceeds 8 million.
Supersonic definitely is very reminiscent of Super Saiyan.
Destroy it?
Yes, that was
Akira
deliberate.
Toriyama. That was deliberate. That it was supposed to be a one-for-one carbon copy.
Yeah, no, it like literally happened the year within Sonic's 2, I think. Yeah, when
Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is 1992, and when did they? He turns Super Saiyan during the Frieza arc, which would be 1991. Yeah, I suppose.
yeah, so yeah,
I like
Sonic-
the
I have
Duke's
the-
little hat.
I have the entire
Like
Frieza
he's the
saga.
ruler of a sovereign nation, and they couldn't give him a crown, so he just has a
Oh.
little hat. He has like a little.
You're telling me he's he's the ruler of Seattle with his little fez.
Yes.
People will be able to rectify
And it's not even like
mistakes
a
and avoid
dimension-bending Fez, like the one from the game Fez.
Yes, Elise. We'll
Isn't Fez the one with the obnoxious creator?
Yes, the Phil
Okay.
Phil Fish.
Oh, Phil Fish. What's wrong with her face?
There is a kid.
I don't care.
You know, kids
She looks like a swine.
come out weird sometimes.
Well, she's smiling, and her smile looks so unnatural, like she's a plastic doll. She looks like Toy Story. She looks like Ham from Toy Story.
You're bringing it all the way back to the first things we
Yes,
said.
that's what I'm trying to say.
So that flame is Solaris's true form, which
Is it a little
means
piece of
that
fire?
when the Duke took that flame and experimented on it and caused the latent powers of Solaris to appear in the form of Iblis and Mephiles.
If we put out this flame,
And because Solaris is a transcendent being, if they blow it out here, it'll be as though it never existed.
So they'll forget
AKA,
about
this
it?
plot is a giant piece of shit, and we need a quick fix to retcon everything that just happened.
What happens to Elise then? Does she die?
No.
But does she?
No, she does not.
Yes.
The point is that everything that happened in the
Why
game,
are-
including...
Why are Sonic's eyeballs one eyeball?
You've asked this like 100,000 different times, you jackass.
They're
I'm
goggles.
sick of you asking that. I don't have an answer for you. I've never had an
What's
answer
going
for
on?
you.
What happens to the world?
Why are her teeth gone?
Why don't you improve the
teeth-
questions you ask?
Just smile.
Ethan, you're a liar.
Oh my god. But the gist is, even though everything that happened in this game was confusing and made no sense, Sonic and Elise did become friends / lovers. So
Does she
if
show up in any other games?
I think she showed up in like some kind of official artwork where she's like ice skating or something in like a more cartoony art style.
I said any games.
No, she does not show up in any further games.
When are they going to make a sequel to this game and call it Sonic 07?
I mean, they could make one in 2027, I guess.
Michael, add farts under all of those ladies swirling around.
Why would you do that to him? He's been through so much today.
Oh, it's the beginning again. No, play the game on hard mode.
There are hard mode versions of all the levels, by the way.
Unfortunately, Mikey was playing this all hard the entire time.
Yeah, but so basically,
Solaris was a trap devised by Satan. Start over from the beginning. Make rapid progress. Looks like we gotta beat the game twice to actually beat it, Michael. You better start over.
Someone was calling me.
She blew out Solaris, which means that Solaris never existed. So even though Soliana is named after Solaris, everything looks exactly the same, as though he existed anyway. And they're still celebrating the Festival of the Sun, which is a celebration of their worship of Solaris, I think. But in this case, Eggman doesn't attack because... And supposedly the Duke would still be alive too, because he wouldn't have been during the accident, because there would be no accident, because there was no god to experiment on. But for some reason, Sonic's here anyway, even though he has no reason to be. And they
Does he not know who Elise is anymore?
No, Elise and Sonic never met each other in this alternate timeline, because the events of the game got erased from existence because Solaris never existed. Again, it's almost like Shiro
waste of time.
Maekawa saw that his script was a giant piece of shit and needed a fix for the franchise. And remember, I want to say this, Alonzo, I don't know if you noticed this, but there are certainly legitimate criticisms to be made of Ian Flynn's writing style, but there were people on Twitter who were complaining about Ian Flynn saying, we need to get the guy who wrote Sonic 06 to come back and write more games.
Holy shit.
Because apparently he's open to that.
No.
But to be fair, I think Shiro Maekawa did write Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure 1 and all of the previous games, and maybe even some of the other crap like Black Knight, which is one of the better written stories from the late 2000s era of Sonic. But regardless, that's the game. We're done with the game now, which means it's time for final thoughts, gentlemen.
Did you have fun, Michael?
Michael, add him Sonic levitating with a fart with the just
That's a really creative idea, Ethan. That's an edit you have not asked me to make before, and I really appreciate that.
Little did we know that Ethan has a fart fetish. That's why he's so into this.
I absolutely do not.
So immediately denies it, only strengthens it.
I would.
Maybe
would
now
own up
he'll
to
stop
that.
asking for fart stuff, but if he's a true fart fetishist, he's definitely going to double down next gameplay and ask for more farts edits.
I will not double down if people start to suspect that.
I don't know, man. You're not
Suddenly,
defending it well.
Ethan won't ask for any farts, and he'll get really embarrassed when you ask for it.
It's not like I'm trying to gaslight him into less farts.
Now, Alonzo.
Gaslight, am I right?
Alonzo, Ethan, final thoughts on this fucking game we just finished.
Oh yeah.
It's even worse of a piece of shit than I thought it was.
I love how he asked me, and then Ethan had to give his final thoughts.
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Like, God, what I remember from this game definitely has not held up. I don't believe that Sonic 06 remake or whatever they're trying to do is going to help it anyway. You know, it's a flawed game. It definitely development hell. They worked for 2 years to make this game and had to rush it out the door, and you can see everything in there.
2 years they spent on this.
Yeah, and they were losing money on it and just shot it out on undercooked.
Did they ever release any patches for this game?
No, this was like the PS3, Xbox era before like patches, or before they were doing mass patches.
Yeah, before they were doing
before
big
that
old
was
patches.
normalized. But
Yeah.
much like Sonic Unleashed, a game that is also really flawed and has, in my opinion, even worse controls than this.
Which
They
one?
did not release any patches, but they did release paid DLC for the fucking thing.
Secret Rings?
No,
No,
Unleashed.
not Unleashed.
The Werehog.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, that
to tell
that
you the
came out a
truth,
year or
yes,
two later,
Secret
though.
Rings does have even worse controls than both of them, yes. But it's like, well, we can't try to fucking fix the game in any way and patch out all the bugs and all the annoying bullshit, or try to improve the game in any way, but we can release paid DLC that recycles existing levels and puts a bunch of dumb bullshit in them to make them even more annoying. So,
Make them even more annoying.
yes.
That's our goal, is that it wasn't annoying enough.
Well, it certainly comes off that way.
Like what?
Alonzo mentioned the PS3 version. For a while, fans were holding out hope that the PS3 version would be improved in some way, because it didn't come out at the same time
It's bad.
as the 360 version, and then it was even worse, because it wasn't
How
optimized.
was it even worse?
Well, the PS3 had a lot of issues with its what was it, the cell processor or whatever. It was the PS3 was doing something weird.
Nobody knew how to use
Yeah.
it. Well, that's why the PS3 was delayed a year in the first place. Is that it wasn't supposed to have a GPU. It was all supposed to be the cell processor.
Well, that's stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't even going to have a GPU. It was all supposed to be the cell. And they're like, oh, if you think games are hard to develop for the PS3 now, imagine if it didn't have a central graphics processor.
Oh, man.
I
It's
forgot
funny you
about
say
the
that it
cell
doesn't hold
processor.
up, Alonzo, because I'm pretty sure people hated it even when it came out, so...
Well, those people that say like it wasn't as bad is
This game?
yeah. It's not.
Every time I see Amy's freaking hair, it's so weird. It's like a front mohawk.
I would rather
it's-
play Unleashed than this anytime.
That's actually an interesting question. I don't know which one I would pick.
At least
Would you rather pick those or Sonic Adventure 2?
Well, Sonic Adventure 2, obviously.
yeah,
but
yeah, that one's a good game.
Is that your favorite one besides Colors?
It's up there.
I mean, what else is up there?
Sonic Mania.
Sonic Frontiers.
I should probably finish Sonic Mania. I started it in 2017 and I never finished it because I got bored.
Yeah. Because that game is kind of underrated, not gonna lie. Or overrated, sorry, not gonna lie.
I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
But it's also not my kind of Sonic game, so it's like, whatever. The people who... It's like Pizza Tower, where the people who love it just absolutely love it. Because it
And-
gives them exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, and some people, the Pizza Tower, they play it and they just can't get the feel for it.
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
was
try
one of those
Pizza
people.
Tower here. I am off this week, so I am actually going to... I have some time set aside to play some Resident Evil 2. My vacation time is maxed out, so I am going to be playing that. I'm going to a Minnesota Wild game tomorrow. Again, Michael, flash up how bad we lost. Oh, God, that was just awful. Oh, I'm angry at my home team.
But,
Fuck you.
okay, here are my final thoughts on this fucking game. For the first, I would say 80% of it, I was, with the exception of a couple parts, like a few of the bosses and that portal maze trial for Sonic, for the most part, it was like, no, this game's actually not that bad, because pretty much what it is Sonic Adventure 3. I know a lot of people chafe against that because, I don't know, the game's bad, so we don't want to associate it with games that are supposedly so much better. But, like, formula-wise, that is clearly what they were trying to do, especially since the plot in its broad strokes is very similar to Adventure 1. When you stop and examine all the beats, like, there are differences, obviously, but the gist of it is Eggman wants to control an evil god, and then the god goes berserk and tries to destroy everything. That's the plot. And then everything else is just filler. I think part of it is there are certain games that become more enjoyable when you have something on in the background, if you know what I mean. Like, there are some games I'll play where I'll just put a YouTube video or a podcast or something on in the background just to occupy my mind. And when that's going on, it's less obnoxious, or it's easier to enjoy because you're not focused specifically on the game. And I think Sonic 06 might be one of those cases. Like, if I'd replayed this whole thing without you guys being here to bounce off of and talk to, I don't know if I would have enjoyed the first 80% of it as much as I did.
I don't think I would have enjoyed editing as many farts into the final product.
But I do have to say, this is one of those games where if you know what to do, then it's not nearly as annoying. Like, if I specifically had remembered that you could charge the fucking spears or Sonic's homing attack in that final boss, I would have beaten it much faster. But that's kind of the problem with the whole game, is that the ball puzzle, if you know what to do, it's not that bad. Most of the bosses, if you know what to do, it's not that bad. If you know to save the game after you beat the Trials of Soliana so that you don't have to do them again if you get a game over, it's not as bad.
Well, that's the paradox there, is that you're never going to know what to do on your first playthrough.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be your, I can't think of the word, but your first impression of the game. Why would anybody have a positive light on it the first time they play it, unless you're like a small child who has all the time in the world to figure this stuff out?
Well, that's the thing is, I would say the same thing to a lesser degree for most Sonic games, even the good ones. Like, even Sonic 2, which is a game a lot of people like, that final boss, unless if you know exactly how to beat it, is a giant pain in the ass. And
I figured it out when I was a young chump.
Good thing I remember
because you had
how
all
to
the
beat
time
it.
in the world, like you just said.
No, actually, you know what? No, I watched my older sister play it first.
Yeah,
She
so you
figured it
knew
out.
what to do ahead of time, so therefore it wasn't as bad. But that's just what I'm saying, like even the good games like Sonic Heroes or Sonic Adventure 2, or some of the 2D games, even Frontiers, with some of the bosses in those games have a lot of god dang it shit in there where you just would not ever have guessed that that's what the game designers wanted you to do until you looked it up.
Yeah.
I think the difference between some of those games and this one is just that there's so much of that, so much more of that kind of thing, because the game was so rushed, because it's so unfinished. I know a lot of people have been like, gee, why aren't you playing Project 06? Why are you playing the shitty original? You know what I mean? There's a lot of sense that, well, now that Project 06 exists, everything is forgiven. The game's suddenly brilliant. And I hate to tell you,
suddenly
folks,
brilliant, or it's like it's the game's original vision. That's why it got.
I don't think they're necessarily
Or
saying
some
that,
VHS.
but the idea is like, well, now that Project 06 exists, this game gets a jail out of jail free card essentially. And I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, but like usually when I come back, like I would do recording tests for this game just to make sure that the capture card was working properly. And like I couldn't play it for more than like 10 minutes because I'd get bored, because this game is nothing but the shitty combat for all the characters. You know,
You just jump and you press X, 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 X.
yes, and that's what Project 06 is. Like, you can add all of the polish and juice that you want to the mechanics. You can make silver faster. You can remove some of the annoying bits like the fucking ball puzzle. Like, I haven't played that part of Project 06 yet, but I imagine
hold on
it's
a moment.
not the same
Hold
thing.
on a moment. What about like Sonic Colors? What's the combat like in those games that's better than this?
There isn't much of it.
Oh, this game just has a lot of combat?
Yes. Like,
Okay.
Sonic games have never had complicated combat mechanics, but besides like the Werehog and Frontiers. But like this game has, like with Sonic, all you can do is homing attack people, and yet they have enemies that take 15 hits to kill, and they make you do it to progress. Like that was also in
Oh
Heroes.
yeah, you just have to press X, X,
Yeah.
X, X.
Yeah. Whereas in Sonic Colors, the enemies die in one hit, and often there's like one section in something aquarium zone where you have to kill enemies to open a door, and that's it.
I can envision young Michael being like, "How do you use the homing attack?" And he looks it up online, and he's like, "Oh, you press X, 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 X. That's how you do it."
And it's like Project 06 has more or less the same broad strokes. So it's like, if you think this boring combat is fun, then I guess, like, I have to wonder if the fact that Project 06 doesn't have the story or the bosses or any of... When you're playing Project 06, you're not playing that shitty Iblis boss yet. That's not
Michael,
in the game
can you
yet.
play the last level again?
Yeah, and you don't have the end of the world level yet. It's like, I have to wonder if the fact that it's only the good parts of the game, the good parts, in quotation mark, Project 06 only has the 10 levels and I think the extra levels for each of these three characters so far. There's no story, there's no bosses, there's no end of the world level, there's no Solaris, there's none of that shit. So basically, it's just the good parts of the game, in quotes. And I have to wonder if that's a feature and not a bug as to why people love it so much, is because it's basically all of the hits and none of the shit. At least so
Oh.
far.
Doesn't this game have a secret Amy campaign?
No. That's Sonic Advance.
Oh, shit.
We can play Sonic
But-
Advance.
This game
We can do that.
this game wore me down. Like, I was willing to give it a fair shake and reevaluate it, and if I loved it, I would tell you guys. I was prepared to do that for the first couple of stories we did, but like at this point, after the end of the world and that fucking flame core level that fucked me over, and that goddamn final boss where they explain absolutely nothing that you need to know in order to beat it. Like, I'm just fucking done with this game right now. That's how I feel.
I'll play it again in 1 year.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't played this game in 10 years for a reason.
Yeah.
What, did you play it while we were in college?
I played it, like, right before we started
Are
college.
there any unlockables, like concept art? A lot of games have that.
You can listen to the music. That's, yeah, there might be more stuff you can
Wait, what
get
was
for finding the silver medals. I don't know. And that's the thing is, we just showed the main campaign. We didn't show any of the fucking town missions, which are atrocious. We didn't show the process of getting all of those coins.
The multiplayer.
We didn't show any of the optional stuff. We just played the game. I don't know if I'd call this the worst Sonic game I've ever played. I do think that, to an extent, the hate is exaggerated on this one. I'm not sure how many of the people who meme how bad this game is have actually played it. Like, even... played it recently.
You know what I just noticed? Is that the O in Sonic the Hedgehog is stylized, but the O, center of the O is oval. It's off-center. I've never noticed that before.
But yeah, that's Sonic 06. We're done. I don't know what we're doing next, but I think it's time for Alonzo to play something for the show.
We're gonna play, we're gonna play Hoodwink 2.
That's not a video game.
Yeah. It's not? We'll play it somehow.
We'll find a way.
All right.
We love you all.
See you all next time.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Chaos Control!